But last Saturday also saw a huge boxing match. In my opinion, the biggest light heavyweight match since Michael Spinks took on Dwight Braxton back in, was it 82, 83, when those two got together? But yeah, I think this is probably the biggest light heavyweight matchup in terms of even overall skill, because Spinks and Braxton had hellified skill. Even though the height difference was huge, it was still a decent fight. It was expected to be even better before the fight. But last Saturday, Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, both undefeated. Artur Beterbiev, 20-0, 20 KOs. Everybody knows about those KO artists. They get together. We streamed it on this channel. We had several people come in, and thanks for that. I wasn't even expecting that, because I didn't think that you all would think and appreciate that kind of a fight. You know, they don't talk in Twitter. They don't do all that social media stuff. They just come to fight. And these people showed up and they were interested in seeing what was going on here, or they were just scoring the fight with us. It was Carlos and I were on here scoring the fight. The first 3 rounds, in my opinion, and in Carlos' opinion, and in the opinion of so many others, it seems like Bivol just had it relatively easy. He came out fairly aggressive, I thought, with his jab and his high guard, which I wasn't expecting going against a power puncher like that. You don't want to walk into any traps. You will be a little bit more cautious. But he was strategically cautious, but still being a tad aggressive, coming forward while they were still trying to figure each other out. And then, well, in the middle rounds, all hell started breaking loose. And Bivol tried to weather the storm as Beterbiev starts going to work with those heavy hands. And you could see how heavy they were.
So I didn't see it, but when we went to celebrate my wife's birthday, we went to Dave and Buster's, and when I got in there, I saw they had the fight on the big screen. I was like, okay, how can I set it up to where we're sitting by so I can watch the fight? But then I noticed it was the 12th round and there was only 20 seconds left. I'm like, damn. And they seemed like they were going at it. You know, they knew it was the end of the fight to try and make a final impression. Yeah. And the only thing I can really say, because I haven't had a chance to watch the fight or even highlights of it, is after the final bell, it looked like Bivol was the winner. You know, he threw his hands up. He looked like he knew he won. And Beterbiev looked like he had some doubt. So I was like, oh, it looks like Bivol won. Then they showed the punch stats. I normally don't put a lot of stock in punch stats, but I didn't see the fight, so let me see what they got. Punch stats were so close. I'm like, damn, that was a close fight if the numbers are accurate. So when the first card was read 14 or 114, 114, I was like, oh, snap, it's a draw, but it didn't end up that way. And, you know, we were talking before the show and you mentioned people are talking robbery. I didn't see the fight. I can't say if it was or wasn't. I don't think it was based off, you know, the closeness of the punch stats. But the 116, 112, that's what I have an issue with. And I think most boxing fans have an issue with that score.
Yeah, and rightfully so, because that says that Bivol only won 4 of the 12 rounds, which is ridiculous for anyone watching it, no matter what side you was on before you came in or who you rooted for going into the fight. I rooted for Bivol. I thought Bivol would outbox him. I picked a 12-round decision because if it's going 12, it's likely because Beterbiev might have gotten outboxed. He's the knockout artist. No one's gone the distance with him. He's gotten rid of everybody. So it was reasonable to believe that if it did go the distance, it would have been Bivol. But at the same time, I was saying because of their extensive backgrounds in their amateur ranks and because of the skills being so refined, because of that background, and even the fights they've had, especially on a high level with so few pro fights, that you'll get to see some of these skills that Beterbiev never really had to use against other fighters because he was able to overwhelm them. And he did use those same types of skills against Bivol. He started using that power jab, coming with that right hand. He didn't go to the body as much as I thought he would, but he did do a lot of trying to cut off the ring. But Bivol, not running, being very strategic, was able to move. He was able to counter. But then when he did get backed up, Beterbiev made him pay for it. But then it got to a point to where even in the center of the ring, mid-range wise, Beterbiev was getting the better of him. And I had it at the end of the fight, along with Carlos. We both had it as a draw. But when the decision came off, I was like, you know what? You can't be angry. The fight was too close to say one or the other deserved it. But if I had my druthers, it would have probably been Bivol. But I can't say there's a robbery. Fights like that are too close to call robberies. And Beterbiev, I don't go by looking at his face. Come on, man. You don't go by that exclusively in a fight of that caliber. But these two put it all on the line. Beterbiev got his. They need to have a rematch. I think Bivol says he wants the rematch. And fans who watch that fight, true boxing fans especially, want the rematch as well.
Did Beterbiev ever land a really good shot?
Yeah, he landed that good right hand. And there was times when he did land that right hand, you saw that it was effective, but it didn't necessarily completely hurt. It didn't numb him like you would think it would have. And that's a tribute to being tough and the conditioning it takes to take a shot like that. And it might have been rolled a little bit on occasion. It wasn't a whole lot of those shots he got hit with because Bivol is that experienced and that talented and skillful to get away from those kinds of shots. And you look at the way Bivol was shoe shining, making legitimate combinations, not just shoe shining to show the refs I'm doing something instead of nothing. He was trying to be real active and be effective with that activity. You saw a lot of what you would see from high-level chess-playing boxers in that fight. But still, Beterbiev needs to get credit for the way he was able to display his skill with the hard jab. I keep going back to that hard jab because his hard jab is as good as anybody's right hand or left hook. That's how it was going. And in the inside, he didn't do as much as I thought he would, but from the mid-range, he got that right hand off. And Bivol, when he was hurt, didn't run. I hear some people say he ran. He didn't run. He just moved back a little bit to kind of take the effectiveness off of the punch. And then it also kept him within range to either counter or start a whole new combination of his own, a different angle. You just saw so many moves made one after the other. When the decision came, I wasn't disappointed. And like you said, I was more disappointed with that nonsense of 116, 112 than anything else. And I think with that being on people's minds, that's why they were probably tripping about a robbery, because you let that one score you heard throw you off when all the rest of the scores were in line with what possibly could have been.
Right. Who would you favor in the rematch?
Man, I don't want to be stubborn about it, but I'll go back to Bivol. I'll go back to Bivol because he's still the skillful fighter. Now he felt that power. He knows how to really, because they can say what they want after the fight. Because I remember Bivol saying that, he thinks he won the fight, but he's going to give credit where credit's due. But then I'm hearing Beterbiev saying that it wasn't that difficult a fight. It was just uncomfortable. If it wasn't that difficult, you would have gotten a knockout like you've done 20 previous times. Bivol, Bivol says he is harder than Canelo is harder than him. You're just kind of trying to shade each other a little bit. Get out of here with that. Canelo did not hit as hard because you wasn't going defensive against Canelo like you were getting defensive against Beterbiev after the shot landed. And with Beterbiev, and the good thing about these prodigious punches, as I call them when we were talking about the fight, you don't have to mistake whether the punch landed or not, or whether it was caught by the gloves or blocked. You know the difference because you see the reaction. And even Bivol admits, you know what? I have a swollen thumb now from catching those punches. He punches hard, but in the next breath, Canelo hits harder? Come on, man.
Well, hopefully, if there is a rematch, I'll get to watch it live.
Yeah, if they have a rematch, I can see those two having a rematch right away, as opposed to now it seems like Canelo claiming he's calling out Beterbiev, I believe. He doesn't want that fight. Let's just talk. I don't even think he really wants the Bivol fight after what happened the last time, unless he's coming down to 168 and he can train him. But he said he's going to move
him saying he wants Bivol with the same terms in the contract of the first fight is code for I don't want that smoke. Ain't no way he wants Beterbiev. He don't want to fight Benavidez. And Benavidez, he's a good puncher, but he's not a really strong puncher like Beterbiev.
No way.
You don't want that. No way.
Beterbiev is prodigious a puncher. He's like when you talk about Ernie Shavers and you talk about George Foreman, these really heavy-handed punches. You can see the heavy hands and you can hear the thud on these punches, even though they look like they were slapping. Now he was punching hard. And you can see the results because you see the reaction to those punches. And Bivol, still tough as hell, took those shots. He's one of the only guys, is the only guy who went the distance in a pro fight with Bivol. No one else was able to do it. And they were catching these hands the same way. But Canelo claims he wants to go up there, but he also knows he'll have to deal with Turkey. And I don't think they have a good relationship because he doesn't want to look like he's a slave to Turkey, regardless of the amount. So whatever that is.